you feel like you've accomplished a lot. It is called brush knee. So when you brush your knee, one hand comes out and brush your knee. The other leg comes out and you brush your knee, but in a specific way. So you're not going to try it because you don't know what to do yet. Okay? It's easier to see it first and then we can drill it. When we brush our knee, we are on a T stance. One hand, the left hand this time, is parallel. This is my sense of parallel. What are the parameters for parallel? The fingers are closer to the chest while the elbow is down, rather than this way, waist to waist. The parallel hand sits with its fingers closer to your chest in a slant, okay? And it's not next to my shirt, it's not far away from my shirt, but it's medium, okay, medium. In my mitten form rather than in my glove form, so my mitten. The other hand is up higher and I'm glancing at it in my mitten form as if there was catching another ball, similar to repulsing of the monkey for this hand. We're going to multitask. When you multitask, you do many things at one time. This is only what the hand does. The hand goes down on the parallel hand, and the hand that's out higher comes to your area of your ear, all right? It does another thing. This is only core muscles moving now, and maybe not even our core because we're not moving all of our body. So it's maybe purely hands, but know that it is not purely hands when we finally move it all together. So you're gonna watch to see what I'm gonna talk about. So this is essentially what you're going to learn, okay? So we said that Tai Chi is not purely hands. So we're going to keep our parallel hand. We're going to keep the hand that's going to come to our ear. First, we're going to learn that the ear and the parallel hand do a simultaneous task. Ear and down, ear and down. Can you do that? Ear and down. Ear and down. You're on a T stance. Ear and down. Ear, down, and around. Okay? You can position yourselves like me. Ear, down, and around. That's how it's going to brush your knee. But something's not quite right because we haven't put our feet together. So you're going to watch first. We're on a T stance, we want to get to an L stance, and we want to get to a bow stance. But we're going to have to do it with our hands, with our whole body. So how are we going to do that? First, position your feet as a T stance, root down and store that energy, because you know you're going to do an L stance and then a bow stance to do brush of your knee. But where does your hands play into it? The parallel hand is your left hand. Fingers closer to your chest. The right hand is up higher, and you're wearing your mittens in both cases. When you do this motion, you're going to come out with your heel. Turn the hips and waist to brush your knee. Okay, and everybody's eager to try, so we're going to do the other side. Sit back, sit down. Pivot or twist step. Parallel and higher on a T stance. You're going to come to an L stance. Out on an L. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. T, parallel higher. This is a drill. Multitask. Ear, down, heel, turn hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, parallel higher on a T, ear, down, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel and T. Okay, so good attempt, good try. Doing a good job. So if in case this happens with you where you don't know remember where to put your hands, what you're confused with maybe is that we need to drill a little bit more about hands. If in case your hands are good and your feet somehow forgets that you have to come on an L and then a bow stance, then you're going to have to separate the hands from the feet and then later put it together. Right now we're doing like a little crash course because maybe your footwork is not as clear as you would like it. And then when we mix our hands together, there's some confusion. But I know that when you go home, you'll get it all straightened out through practice. So this is what we were trying to do. This is a T stance. This is my parallel and higher. We're going to do a multitask. Turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, rooting down, parallel and higher, glance, multitask, brush knee. So it is one of the most difficult movements for the 10 form. It comes early, and the next movement in maybe a couple weeks, depending on how well you accomplish this movement, is easier. However, if you learn all the elements in any movement, they're applicable for all Yang style Tai Chi. All right? So here are some hints. You learn firmly that this is a T, this is an L, move that energy, this is a bow. How is that going to help you do brush knee? Remember I used the term, the hands go for the ride. In Tai Chi, it's the whole body. It's not just hands. It's not just feet. It's hands, feet, mind, vision, the whole system working, especially the core. If I didn't know that, and I was doing brush knee, and I'm only using my hands, this is how it would be. I'm contorted, I'm misaligned, and my body did not work for me. I just know that all I have to do is bring it to my ear and then come around. When we use our whole body, the hands hardly move on its own. The hands move only because it's attached to my core. Watch to see if this is true. So our hips and waists are very important. If we're not using hands, and we're on our T stance, and we're on our L stance, the hips and waists will move my hands no matter where I am. They happen to be ready so that they'll end up here. But why do they end up there? They end up there because I move my hips and waists, and my hands go for the ride. I am not moving my hand to make it come here. I am moving it only because my body makes it move. Okay? All right. It's a big task, okay? And we're constantly trying our best to make our hands go for the ride and use our core to help it move, okay? And our mind. It's mind-driven, core-driven, not purely hands and fingers and wrists and elbows, okay? All right, let's try it again. T stance, parallel hand, higher hand. This is the motion you're going to do, and this is the motion you're going to end up with, right? Ready? Ear, down, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, parallel higher, T, root down. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, adjust the back foot, brush knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, parallel higher, T, glance, ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, T, root down, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, T. All right, so I'm going to break it down a little bit more, okay? And face you. So you're going to be a little bit opposite from me, but you're going to still do it, okay? So your left hand is parallel to your chest in a mitten, okay, wearing a mitten. Your right hand is up, not across from you, but slightly back, but not to the way back so that your hip has to turn. So parallel and slightly back, and a little higher rather than at the same level of your parallel hand. This is essentially what you're doing. Do it with me. As your hand comes to the ear, the hand, parallel hand, comes down. It turns and it catches that ball in the center. The right hand is now parallel. Can you get the right hand parallel? And the left hand higher. You're doing the other side. Multitasking, ear and down and heel, but we're not doing the feet, okay? Ear, down, out, and around. Left hand parallel, right hand higher. Ear, down, around, push. Right hand parallel, left hand higher. Ear, down, push, set. Left hand parallel, right hand higher. Ear, down, around, brush your knee. Right hand parallel, left hand higher. Ear, down, around, brush your knee. Last one. Left hand parallel, right hand higher. Ear, down, turn, around. Okay? So that's what our hands do. Our hands do this. Only watch. It's easier to put feet and hands together because the hands go for the ride. It makes sense. If we were to stay here like we did, it doesn't really make sense. It needs to fill the gaps and the pukas up to make it a whole. Ear, hand, heel, turn your hips and waist, brush your knee. In this way, right hand parallel, left hand higher on a T. Ear, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Whereas we were struggling, this needs to come out in a natural way. So the hips and the waist definitely help our movements. Our mind is there to help us through the thinking process. Okay? Let's try it again. On a T stance, left hand parallel, right hand higher. Glancing at your back or right hand. What do we need to do? Let's think it through. We need to multitask. The top hand comes to the ear at the same time our parallel hand comes down. This is the motion that we need. Automatic. When one comes to the ear, the other one comes down. The other one comes down. This is a simultaneous motion, but we need to add something more. We need to come out on an L stance, okay? So this is our T stance, left hand parallel, right hand higher. We need to come out on an L stance, and L stance, and L stance. So three things happen. Closer to your ear, coming down, and a heel. When we turn our hips and waist, the hands go for the ride. We try that. We're on a T stance. Left hand parallel, right hand up higher. We're going to multitask and do 3 or more things. What are the 3 or more things? Bring it to the ear, bring down the parallel hand, bring out our heel. All right, ready? 3 things, all done together. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Again, T, ear, hand, heel, turn, brush, knee. Why am I not going to let you do the other side? I want to give you the confidence that you can do it. If I were to go right away to the other side, it may cause some confusion. So when you go home to practice, you do your right dominant hand if you're right-handed. You get it down really well. At this point, when you brush your knee, you should adhere to your alignment. Is your knee aligned to your toe, or is it thrown forward just because that right hand is more forward? No, you need to bring it up and keep your alignment. Otherwise, you are going to fall forward. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Root down. To balance, you're going to center yourself, right hand parallel, left hand higher, on a T stance. You're going to practice and think through how you're going to multitask. Ear and hand, ear and hand, ear and hand, ear and hand and heel. Turn the hips and waist, finish off your movement. Again, T stance, parallel, right, left, higher. You're going to think through that you're going to do an L with the ear and the hand coming down. Here we go. Ear, hand, heel. Turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. One more time. T stance, parallel and higher, glancing at your left hand. Multitask. Ear, hand, heel. Turn the hips and waist, adjust that back foot, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. Root down on the right. Parallel higher on a T. Multitask. Ear, hand, heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Think through. Pivot or twist step. Root down. T stance, parallel and higher. Multitask. Out on an L, bring it to your ear, turn your hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. Parallel higher on a T. Multitask. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. T stance, parallel and higher. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Now look at yourself. Are you in good Tai Chi posture? Why or why not? Is your knee not over your toes? Do you still have your bow and arrow? Are you not locked in on your back knee? Are you straight up? Sit back, sit down. Twist, pivot, parallel and T. All right, hold your position. Let me look at your parallel and T. Parallel, higher and T. Parallel, higher and T. Where does your face, where do you look? Do you turn your body? You look at your other hand. Can you look at your top hand? Just turning your neck. All right, now show me how you multitask. Out on an L, bring it to your ear, drop the parallel hand, brush your knee. Show me how you brush your knee. Sit back, yeah. Sit back, sit down. Twist step, parallel and higher on a T. Twist step, parallel higher. Out on an L, move that hand, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. pivot, T, parallel and higher, multitask, ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush knee, sit back, sit down, pivot, twist step, right hand parallel, left hand higher, out on your heel, bring it to your ear, drop that parallel hand, brush your knee, sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher on a T, multitask, ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee, sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball on a T. Okay, it really looks like you're doing Tai Chi. It really looks like you're thinking through, your mind is active, your body is trying to listen to what your mind is telling, and that's very, very good. Not easy, but no one's going to help you but yourself, okay? And that's the ideal big benefit that Tai Chi can give you, okay? I think you're really doing a good job. If you can take what you have now and replicate and repeat and do it, duplicate it at home, you're going to be on a good path. If you feel, and I think most of you feel, that it's really, really hard and you don't know where the hands are or where you should be, that is also good because it's going to bother you to get it right. So you're going to have to practice, you're going to have to look at it, you're going to have to recall, you're going to have to force your system to work for you. That is what Tai Chi is about. But believe me, it does get better every